Assalamualaikum dan good afternoon. My name is Yuzaidi Udanis, and how are you, everybody? On behalf of Malaysia Productive Corporation, we would like to welcome all of you. We have a number of our attendees who are here today live, and again, I will be the moderator. And today's topic is understanding behavior insight, the usage of integration of data and technology in BI. This is going to be a very interesting topic. We have our expertise, we have our experts who will be talking and present today's topic. No other than Encik Muhammad Shahidi, Encik Muhammad Shahidi Ismail. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Alhamdulillah. How are you?
Okay, good. Basically, this is actually a number of series of webinar on BI, and we have so many of us understand better on the BI concepts, and we hope that this BI concept will be able to implement it so that we can make our policy more effective and more efficient. So I think today's topic, the usage of integration of data and technology in BI, that is a very interesting topic where, for us, everyday's life, we have changed our daily lifestyle. We have changed due to the COVID-19. We have changed our style, our lifestyle, and in terms of customer behavior, in terms of our behavior, in terms of government's behavior, have changed the whole concept. And BI is very important for us to adapt, to make sure that the people know about the policy and to make sure the policies are effective. And the data and technology in BI is very important, as we know that a lot of technology has been imposed, has been implemented, AI, and also this database, big pictures, big database also been implemented. So today's subject, how we can be related, the data, technology, and also the behavior insight together. So with that, I would like to pass the floor to Encik Muhammad Shahidi, and we're looking forward for these interesting topics. Shahidi, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Uzaidi. First and foremost, I would like to thank everyone from MPC, to Mr. Uzaidi, who seems to be very busy and yet still makes his time. Terima kasih, Encik Uzaidi, and MPC for giving me an opportunity to speak again here in this webinar. And today, as Mr. Uzaidi has kind of summed it up, penjelasan yang agak bagus daripada Mr. Uzaidi just now is about understanding behavioral insight and the usage and integration of data and technology, because that is what we do as a company. Saya Shahidi bin Ismail, I'm from Tel and Search. My company is written there. And before we continue, about us, it's basically we do this kind of behavioral economics kind of businesses where we compile data on behavioral, we have assessment, we check mental health, well-being, and so when we got to meet MPC BI unit, it's kind of like a match made in heaven, because it's something that we do, something that we are passionate in. Behavioral economics is something that we've been checking, we've been reading from Malcolm Gladwell to Freakonomics, and yet at that time, at my first talk, I don't really know about behavioral insight. But upon listening to the webinar, upon understanding and upon reading, I realized it is something that is so wonderful, and I can really see how our company and MPC can work together on this. And before I continue my presentation, I would like to start by telling a bit of story, and the story is about trust. Trust is something I believe is wonderful. Percaya ni kan, it's something that is required in a relationship to the government. If we trust the government, things will be easy. So how do we have trust? How can we have trust? Can you guys trust me when I'm speaking today? So I would like to tell a bit of story about, this is an experiment done by one of the economists, Mr. Dan Ariely. I'm sure most of you guys know Mr. Dan Ariely. And in the experiment, he wants people to imagine, let's say, imagine myself as a waiter. I'm a waiter, pelayan dekat restaurant. So upon entering a client, a group of 4 datang restaurant and asking for macam nak order for ikan, for example, for fish. And then me as a waiter, I will tell them that, oh, today fish is not so good. I would recommend chicken. Chicken is tastier and it's cheaper. Will they believe what I say? It's tastier and it's cheaper. They will trust me because I'm offering something that is cheaper and tastier, something that will benefit them. And later, when let's say I suggest them something else, for example, dessert, maybe you can have chocolate cake after your chicken menu. They almost 4 of them will accept the suggestion because they trust me. They trust that my suggestion is for their own good. But let's say in a different situation where there's another 4 customers came in and they still ask for fish. And what I suggested is maybe you guys should go for lobster. Lobster is so way nicer, but somehow lobster is a bit more expensive. It's like double, triple the price. Would you still trust the waiter? Would you still want to buy lobster? The lobster may be very good. Maybe it's wonderful because it's lobster. But because of the price, you may wonder whether the waiter is suggesting to the customers to buy lobster because it's good, or is it because they're getting profit out of it. So when the waiter suggested for the customers to buy chocolate cake, will they listen to the suggestion? Because they don't really trust the waiter anymore, although the waiter may be telling the truth. So what I'm trying to tell before we start this webinar is trust is something that can be easily gained if we offer something that is beneficial. It's like in that case, it's cheap, it's tasty, it's beneficial, it's a win-win situation. But if you offer something that kind of like lobster, it may be good, but since you are gaining a lot from it, will you really trust? So as a listener, I want you guys to know that today is my intention is to really give the best, try to make you understand, and it's not gaining much for me, to be honest. This is really about sharing, and I want you guys to really gain benefit from today's session. And
yeah, I can just add on. Trust is also very important, especially nowadays. People who are engaging with all these digital platform, and the authority wants the public or the rakyat to adopt their policy through BI. Yes. So some of us, the people, they say, how can I trust? Because can we trust our advice who want us to pay the tax, for example?
That's the issue.
That's the issue. And also, as you know, recently, where the Zoom has been compromised, the security has been compromised. So the Zoom's everybody is using Zoom, and the Zoom's security has been compromised. And the Zoom CEO will say, okay, we made mistake, but please subscribe at the premium. Normally we have free, but subscribe at the premium. Now you're talking about ask people to subscribe at the. So how this is the trust issue that we're going to have a challenge if we want to make sure policies effective.
Okay, interesting questions. Well, trust is something yang if we have it, we don't really appreciate it. Contoh macam kita hantar duit ke bank, when we put in money to the bank, we just trust the bank will take care of our money. We don't really appreciate the bank. Dia tak cakap terima kasih bank kan. But once our money, we lost our money from the bank, lost our money. Contohnya kalau bank tu hilang duit kita, we will blame the bank. We will not use their product anymore. Kan? It's because trust is not really appreciated. But once it's broken, it's going to be very hard for people to trust it anymore, and everyone will be at a loss. The same applies to Zoom, to the government. If you don't really trust the government, what we call it, the sincerity of a government is something that is quite hard for us to know. it will take time, and I'm sure people will not really trust if it's not stable, if there's issues, because it's very easy for us to lose the trust. And I would like to tell the story regarding this. A joke actually. Do you know why a wife or a lady loves diamond ring? Because the guy hates ever buying it, because the husband or the guy hates buying it. If you want them to, really like certain things, for example, I'll go back to jokes. For example, if we buy camera to our wife, she will think that the camera is for us. It's not really for them. But when it comes to diamond ring, it's not something that we want, the husband, for we. It's not what the husband wants. So, they trust that the gift is purely from the heart, because, you're giving it to them. Government or Zoom needs to do that. They need to, buy something kind of like the diamond ring, something yang will not be beneficial to them, not going to, gain them something for people to believe, because trust is something yang macam tu lah, senang hilang, but it's quite hard to be gained. And what we need to do is to really give something yang bukan beneficial to us that much. It's more towards in government's situation, it's more towards the rakyat. So they need to do something that is good to the rakyat, and not because of their political mileage. It's not because of their own, services, their own power. So for us to trust them it required them to give something to us. So I guess again, back to my earlier point, I want you guys to try to trust me in this case, because what I want to really do today is to share information. And I'm not gaining much out of this, and it's just that something that I'm passionate in, and I really want people to share this knowledge. This is something that is really wonderful. When I learned about BI, I found it to be really wonderful. So in terms of BI, yeah.
Before I would like to welcome everybody, especially from MPC who are here today. We have a number of us. Shantini is here. We have Maria Tool from MPC. We have. I would like to welcome everybody to come in and to join this session. Thank you.
Yeah, there's Azan here. But as we may know, if there's something that will gain you 80% improvement, will you really do it? Do you really want it? Let's say if you sell something for 20 cents, but yet you can sell it for RM1, do you really want it? Because it's like 80% improvement. But when I learned about BI, I found that there's something as good as this. And what the problem, the solution that they offer is something that is so simple, yet the result is so wonderful. In this case, I think most of the guys will know this. Apa tandas berdiri for guys, and that's an issue of spillage, berterabur. So what the architect in Schiphol, an airport in Netherlands did, they just put a picture of, as you can see, a picture of flies there. Just by putting the flies there, people will like really, shoot and aim to the flies, and they improve 80% of the spillage. They reduce spillage by 80% just by putting simple picture, simple, what do we call that picture? A picture of a fly. So this is what we call nudge or behavioral insight. Something that is so wonderful, something that is so simple, yet it helped us to change, to improve. In our current cases, we saw all these lines when we are trying to pay for something. Just by putting lines, we know where to stand. It's not like we are, so stupid that we can't really know jarak social and everything. But as human, just by putting lines, it protects. Yeah.
Azan, Asa is there. Maybe we just
yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Just hang on. All right, I think okay, we can proceed then, Encik Saidi.
Yeah. So basically, this is what Nudge is doing. It is improving an issue just by putting a picture of a fly. And the same can be applied, as I said just now, but in our case, we're just by putting lines in front of a cashier, we will start to, we'll stand in the right place just by putting lines. If not, we will like mingle together and everything. Just by putting X signs in the chair, we will not sit. That is how simple we are. And also, in terms of behavioral insight, what happened is actually what we call nudge. I'm sure Mr. Uzaidi has listened to this quite a few times. you must be an expert on this.
But now I know better. What is nudge? It's not the same as nugget.
No. Nudge is actually to push gently. Kalau in Malay we call it dorongan. It's just to
Dorongan, yeah. Nudge is
yeah, dorongan.
Right, that's right, right.
It's a positive reinforcement, benda yang positif. Kita nak dorong orang. We can't really dorong orang buat jahat kan. It's not. Dorongan tu doesn't really suit the buat jahat. So nudge is like that. So it's a positive reinforcement. And when it comes to behavioral insight, the behavioral team ni, the job is to be the choice architecture, is the one who's going to help making the policy, is the one who's going to help creating decision. And libertarian paternalist is it's something that government can do, public institution, it affects behavior, while at the same time respecting freedom of choice, meaning buat keputusan yang buat semua orang bergerak ke arah tu while still accepting people's punya opinion. It's not like macam paksa, it's not regimented, it's not something yang macam kita cakap kalau buat benda ni kena denda. That is not nudging. That is not what behavioral insight is fighting for. What behavioral insight wants to do is nudging, which is mendorong orang membuat kebaikan. And cara dia is by libertarian paternalism. Yang ni tak perlu ingat lah, we don't really need to remember this, but it's just this is the concept that at least based on books by Richard Thaler, he emphasized on this. And why are we so easily?
Just to remind everybody who attends, so whoever want to ask any question, probably perhaps after these sessions, after the presentation, we can allow anybody who wants to ask question to Shaidi, our presenter, or you can even chat. Just type the chat, and I will present. I will forward the questions to Shaidi, who is our presenter. Yes. Okay, just go ahead, Shaidi.
Okay, thank you. And again, I'll give time after a few slides. I'll take a break, and you can ask questions related to previous slides. And it's not like we are stupid. Not that we are like we human are so easily ikut je kan. Orang letak flight, kita pembuang air tempat betul. Letak X, kita duduk. Why are we so easily influenced kan? To be honest, it's not because we are stupid. It's just because of our cognitive system. We have two cognitive systems. One is automatic and another one is reflective. This is something that, again, I'm sure Mr. Uzaidi knows way better than me because in certain terms, they also use style 1, style 2. Automatic ni is something yang it's instinctive, unconscious. It's something yang kita buat tanpa fikir. System 1, or there are certain people call it reptilian brain in our brain. The reptilian brain, ada yang cakap dia lizard brain, because we don't really think. Macam in my example that I give, is what Celsius to Malaysian. Kalau kita tanya Malaysian suhu, we will answer it in Celsius, because that is something yang automatically will answer. If we ask American Celsius, they will have to think. They will have to, okay, Celsius is, have to do that. And the same applies to us when it comes to Fahrenheit. Americans will answer it easily, Fahrenheit. How 32? Myself is not really familiar with Fahrenheit. So in our case, it's reflective. Okay, we have to think about it. And most of the time, we prefer this automatic cognitive system is because it's easier. Kita ni senang. Kita macam, let's say we are driving. We prefer to drive to areas that we know. macam pergi kerja, we just drive. We are not even thinking anymore kan. Kita bukan fikir, oh now I need to tekan brake. Now I need to push it again. But when we started it, when we baru belajar, or maybe we sesat, we are using this reflective, and we are starting to look at things. We like really care, and it's tiring. One of the reasons why we don't really like this reflective conscious decision is because it's tiring. We have to think, we have to put effort. And most of the thing that we do is kind of like subconscious. It's kind of automatic, the system one. So we prefer the automatic ways. So makan ke apa ke, it's something that we prefer to do automatically. That's the reason why it's very easy for us to be nudged, to be influenced by, just by putting things. Jangan lintas benda tu. Kalau kita tulis, kita mungkin tak kisah, kita jalan je kan. But by putting red, mask tu kan, red tape tu, kita dah tak kejap. Just by putting that red tape, because it's automatic. We associate that with something that we can't do. So this is the reason why we as human can be nudged, by framing, by anchoring, banyak cara. Macam doktor, let's say doktor tu, we are going to, akan buat pembedahan, for example. And the doctor said that 10% of people who goes through this procedure will die. We'll be very scared. We'll be saying that, oh my God, I'm not going to do this. But if the doctor say 90% of the patient who goes through this procedure will survive, will live well, and then you'll find it, oh, this is something that is quite okay. And the fact is, it's the same numbers, it's the same figures, yet we choose to be worried by this because it's automatic. It's something that we just make decision out of. Okay, so this is the time for me to take a bit of a break, and you guys can try and answer this simple automatic cognitive test. I give like 1 minute to go through the question and try to give me an answer. And at least just write down your answer, or just answer it inside your heart. Buatlah hati.
Automatically, my mind say this is a trick questions. Because
that's the problem. But whether it's a trick question or not, try and answer it.
Who can answer it? Maybe you can type in the chat.
Yeah, that is good. You can type in the answer. I'll give like 10 seconds.
Yeah, bet costs $1 and 10 cents in total. The bet costs $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost in equivalent to cents? Number 2, if it takes 5 machines 5 minutes to make 5 widgets, how long will it take the 100 machines to make 100 widgets in minutes? Wow, this is this is whether it is a mathematics or it is psychology question. So I hope everybody can ask, can give a shout or answer this.
Yeah, this is actually very simple, betul tak? Satu bet, satu ball, RM1.10. Satu bet tu RM1. So harga bola berapa?
Yeah.
Most of the time, tak orang jawab.
Result. I said the question number 1, the ball cost 10 cents.
Yeah.
Question number 2, the result said 5 minutes. So maybe we can see. So let's have some interactive sessions. Type in your whatever answers so that we'll be able to see in what way that everybody has perceived these questions. Okay, so Muhammad Isham, Abdul Razak, of course 10 cents, number 1, question number 1, and number 2 question is he says 1 minute. It's 1 minute. So these are the things. Maybe a few more. Can we get a few more answers for it? Come on, guys, make it more interactive. We would like to welcome all of our attendees from Najib Rashid, Awidin.
Even now, we are already into not just automatic cognitive kita dah reflective because we take time. But for number 1, most of us we answer that it's 10 cents kan. Ramai jawab tadi 10 sen kan. Tapi let's say kalau 10 sen bet tu RM1, RM1 tambah dia harga 10 sen. So jawapan tu dah sebenarnya salah. Kalau dia harga lebih RM1 daripada benda tu, let's say the ball cost 10 sen. Dia mahal RM1, so bat tu dah RM1 10 sen. Tambah dengan ball dah jadi RM1 20 sen. If we put thoughts, we see ni, kita akan dapat tahu sebenarnya jawapan dia, bola tu sebenarnya 5 sen. Faham tak? The ball, sebab bat tu is RM1 and bola tu kalau 10 sen, maksud dia ball tu mahal RM1 daripada bola. So kalau bola tu 10 sen, bat tu dah harga dia RM1.10. So keseluruhan dia di RM1.20.
Yeah. And
This is quite high.
Yeah, it's quite difficult.
Yeah.
But suggestion from Ida Yassin, 100 minutes. From Shantini, 2.5 minutes. Wow, that's quite a big variation. Big variation, man. Big variation.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Some more. Maybe you see how
I'll give the answer actually. It's actually 5 minutes because there's 100 machines. So satu machine 5 minit. So 100 machine pun sama lah 5 minit juga lah. Semua jalan waktu yang sama kan? Hello? Hello? Oh, I kind of lost sound. Hello? Hello? Hilang bunyi. Oh, okay. So I can't really hear any sound right now. Mr. Udani, I don't know why. I'll try to take out the audio first. Really sorry. You guys can still hear me, yeah? Hello? I can't hear. Oh. Okay. So I'll guess I'll just continue the Okay, now I understand. Okay, there's some. Okay, all right. So the answer for this is because if the 5 machines, 5 minutes to take 5 widget, how long will it take 100 machines to make 100 widget? It's the same because things, they are running simultaneously. They jalan sekali. So that is basically the answer. The answer is just 5 minutes and 5 cents. So this is something yang even the Stanford student apa semua pun salah jawab because this is something yang our automatic brain will try to focus on that. It's just something that terus kita buat keputusan macam tu because it's easier. So I would love to talk a bit about biases, blunders. When we talk about this automatic and reflective. The reason why it's automatic because of all the situation. Kadang-kadang biases. We have so many biases. I have an example of biases to show. This is very weird. I can't even hear Mr. Udani at all. I'm not really sure. So this is felt a bit bad. So I'll show a bit of the biases that we have. I'm sure some of you are familiar with this, but there are quite a lot of biases that we have when it comes to human being. One of it is groupthink, which I think is something that we really need to focus on because when it comes to groupthink, it's kind of dangerous. As we can read here, due to desire for conformity and harmony in the group, we make irrational decisions often to minimize conflict. Sebab tak nak gaduh, tak nak apa, kita bila dalam grup yang ramai, kita tak bergerak, kita tak buat decision. The problem jadi lagi ketara if we are in a dangerous kind of situation. Contohnya macam when we are in an airplane. Kalau ada asap keluar dalam satu airplane, if no one acts upon it, kalau kita semua hanya tunggu, no one will act. So we need to put certain effort to if we see something, because we have this group think bias where we always depend on, you know, what other people around us do. For example, macam kalau dalam kelas, if no one raise their hands, bila orang tanya, we will not raise our hands. This is certain things that we call bias that we have, that we somehow always, you know, bergantung dengan tu. There are quite a lot of bias when it comes to human being. You know, there's also what I told just now, anchoring. Anchoring is when there's survey, for example, regarding happiness. If you ask the person first whether they are in a relationship or not, people tend to answer they are not happy. If the question started with how happy they are, usually people will answer that they are happy. But if you start the question, if you anchor the question, you start the question with, do you have a relationship? How's your family? People will start to answer that they are not happy. It's because they anchor their answers to the first question. You know, they'll think that, oh, I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have, you know, my family is not doing well. So second question about happiness, they'll answer that they are not happy anymore. That is typical when it comes to bias, because we have a lot of bias when it comes to being human. In terms of temptation, when it comes to us being human, we have these two sides of us, which is doer and planner. In terms of doer, it's something, usually we make decision when in a situation that we call, we are in a cold situation. Kita rancang nak buat sesuatu tu masa kita duduk rumah. When we are at home, when we are studying, we will think that we can do something. But when the time arises, bila masa tu sampai, can we really do what we plan to do? Contoh macam we said that we want to diet. So friends are asking us to go to Mama for lepak session. And our doer will think that, you know, we will be okay. You know, I will not order teh tarik. I will not eat nasi roti canai and all. I will just go and entertain my friend, you know, minum air suam, teh opposong. But once we are in the Mama stall, we will have trouble in, you know, controlling ourselves because of the temptation around us. Environment plays a big part in our decision making. So by being in Mama stall, we will find the smell of teh tarik, or we see how pleasurable their faces when they drink teh tarik, and etc. will make us, you know, start to being tempted. Kita pun dah mula tempted, and we will start to, you know, not being able to resist the temptation, and we'll have our Mama. You know, there's studies where people, family, when you are in a family where obesity is an issue, or your friend are obese, you have very high tendency to become obese too. Same goes to, you know, when we, you know, plan to go to shopping, window shopping, for example, we may think that we will just go, kita nak tengok sahaja, you know, for example, ada sale 70%. We will just go with the intention of just looking, you know, if there's something that is good, maybe we'll buy. But that is our doer doing the thinking. Kita masa kita kat luar, kita tak masuk lagi. But once kita masuk, we'll see all the things, we'll see all the discount. We'll start to, you know, we can't resist the temptation, and we have very high probability of you know, buying, of doing things that we don't really want. Mr. Uzaidi, I think I'm having trouble because I can't really listen to anything. I'm not really sure.
And the problem is there's some internet problem, just not the bandwidth, so that's why I have to switch off my webcam, so that the able, the bandwidth can be more receptive, more clear. But the thing is now is now it's okay. Now it's okay. The thing is just now there's a lot of
Okay, now it's okay. All right.
they can hear the voice, the presenter, so that's why I switch off my camera so that I'll be able to.
Okay.
Now it's,
All right. Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So most of our audition is actually something comes from this automatic our automatic cognitive system. So I'll go straight to this question, because most of the time information alone is not enough. We know that we need to work out. We know that we need to study. We know that driving while texting is wrong. But do we do it? Do we still do it? We know the situation. We have the information. We know it's wrong, but we are still doing it because information alone is not enough. If we are to self-nudge, or if we want to do something, if we want to change, we need to have these two, fuel and friction. Just like a rocket, we need fuel, we need kind of like motivation, and we need friction. We need to make less friction, make things easy. So in terms of, let's say, working out, so if you want to work out, make it easy, make it something, make it pleasurable, make it easy. So let's say you want to walk in the morning, so put the shoes beside your bed, so that when you wake up you have shoes, or put the shoes in your car, so whenever you are in your car you have shoes. You can just work out because you are like eliminating the friction. You make it easier. In my case, this morning I sent my wife to school this morning, and I don't really feel like working out, but I know working out is good. So in the process of going back tu, masa nak balik tu, I got these two choices. Whether I balik rumah, I have treadmill in my house, I would say that I'll go and use the treadmill. But understanding behavioral insight, I realized that if I go, I'm creating friction actually. Bila balik rumah nanti, memang it's easier for me masa dalam kereta to think that I'll take the treadmill, lari lah apalah. But when you're at home, you'll see the food, you'll see the Netflix, you have internet, suddenly everything is around you. You will not do it. So what I did pagi tadi is I just went straight to the park, to road, kasut dah ada dalam kereta. So I just eliminate the friction, just go to the park and walk. Because once you walk, it's okay, dah okay. Bila kita dah buat, it's okay. It's just that the process of getting there kan. Motivation is there. For me, I really want to maintain my health. So I have the fuel. It's just that kadang-kadang tu because of the friction, because of the choices that we make, kita tak buat certain stuff tu. Macam makanan lah, kalau kita nak diet, tapi kita beli food panda lah apa, we put all this food around, ada keropok, ada all this chocolate. So how to eliminate, to help us is by reducing the friction. Jangan beli at the first place lagi. Kalau tak nak guna social media, nak kurangkan social media, don't really want to use it at night, try to charge the phone outside of your room. Create friction so that it will be harder, because we somehow, just by doing simple stuff like that, we will start to achieve what we want. And by doing it day by day, we'll improve and we will have habit, and inshallah will be better. All right. So as we
just one question. BI, is it related to habits? Because like you say, if you love to smoke, we try to make it we try to make it difficult for us to put the cigarette box or quite far from the tables, whenever. Is it this BI to be more effective? Is it because of this our habits, our own habits, related with the habits?
Well, good question. When it comes to smoking, we all know that smoking is not good. It's not something that it's not something that we are proud of it. Kita bukannya macam pergi update, I managed to smoke today kan. Kalau macam workout tu, it's something that we we are proud of. Tapi kita tak pula buat selalu kan. Yeah, smoking is something that we really do because it is habit. And dia punya benefit tu cepat. When it comes to behavioral ni, kita suka benefit cepat. All this workout, study, diet, kesan dia bukannya terus. Dia punya kesan tu lambat. You know, the effect is a bit late. So kita jadi tak tergesa untuk buat tu. Kita tak nampak perubahan tu. Unlike smoking, where once you smoke, the pleasure is there. Kan? So if you make it easier, I don't smoke by the way, but I see a lot of people who enjoy smoking. But I guess, you know, this is my guessing because I don't smoke. But again, because the pleasure is there, it's fast, it's something that you do every day, it becomes your habit. So to stop smoking is by creating friction, or maybe, you know, try to change the benefit to yang seronok smoking to what is it? So what my father did last time is he took candy. He changed candy. Bila ada urge to smoke, he'll take candy. It's not good on itself juga candy pun. But at least he managed to stop because it's a habit. It's something yang bila kita accumulate dah lama, kita selalu buat, dia jadi something yang kita suka. Sama juga workout ke apa, bila kita selalu tu, nanti dia akan jadi okay sikit. Bila kita dah nampak hasil dia, bila dia dah jadi habit, it will be a bit better. The problem is kesan dia tu tak segera. Dia bukan terus seronok. Even workout tu kadang-kadang tak seronok. Masa workout tu, ending tu baru dopamine keluar kan, baru seronok. So, kesan segera dengan tu. Manusia ni kita suka something yang cepat, senang. And merokok tu dia punya kesan tu adalah cepat. So macam Richard Thaler cakap ni lah. So if you want to encourage someone to do something, make it easy. Richard Thaler ni yang when it comes to behavior insight, I'm sure most of you guys know, he's the author of Nudge, the book that I'm currently reading and studying right now. And I found it to be very wonderful, and nudging is something and we should implement in terms of policy and etc. Okay, apart from the question by Mr. Udani, if there's any question regarding our automatic cognitive bias, this is the time, because later we will go into data and technology. So if there's any question, general question when it comes to BI, this is very, very general. I'm just talking about human and economies. I don't really go deep into every bias. I just show you a bit of things. And actually almost everything, bias ke, pasal resist temptation, you can have 1 hour session on almost all of that, because there's so many things. It's so wonderful. BI initiative, behavioral economic is something yang sebenarnya kesan bagus. Yeah.
This is a very good point, which I think we should encourage that. If you want to encourage someone to do something, that means to make it more effective, the law or the policy or to the enforcement, just make it easy. If you want someone to pay income tax, just make it for them to pay the income tax. I think this is very good point. This is my first time. I think it's a good point and a valid point, and then we should adapt BI to that. Every BI, everything, every policy should adopt this step. Make it easy.
Because when it comes to our automatic response, it's actually we just prefer things to be easy. Sebab tu macam default, macam payment, certain macam Netflix apa semua tu kan, payment dia dah set sendiri. So they just set the payment you're paying, whether you use it or not. Spotify, for example, I'm paying for 10 ringgit, 90 cents every month because it's default. You don't really have to go through system, you don't have to pay online, you don't have to pay, because it's easy. So you just maintain it because it's easy. And even when we make decision in terms of what to drink, what to eat, what we see in front of our eyes is what we'll take, because it's easier. So this is something that we really need to implement.
The PBT, especially the PBT, for the cukai tanah, cukai pintu. If we can up this kind of things to make it easy for people to pay for the tanah, cukai pintu.
But it's like our country is doing that, right? Our Lembaga Hasil is using BI to encourage people juga kan. So this is something yang can be implemented. Especially in my case, I really like education. and found education to be, you know, the source of most thing, basic. Apa kalau kita nak ubah culture ke, if we want to do, you know, more readers ke, kita nak apa-apa pun, it started with education, by creating good culture, by starting something good, and it starts with education. So BI ni banyak yang boleh diaplikasikan dalam education ni, dalam sekolah, dari segi macam-macam lah. We can see there's so many. I'm looking at it because my company itself, we are focusing on education juga. So with data that we have, we are really thinking of giving solution, proposal on how to make things easier, more effective, and more wonderful, because education really needs a nudge in terms of nudging. Okay, I guess I'll go straight to my next slides.
Just to add on, you know, now we have to scan to enter to the premises. Yeah. Now there's like Selangor has the Selangkah, Selangor,
Yeah.
something like that. Make it easier instead of just writing every time. Just scan. They said low risk, high risk, whatever low risk, and the security guard just scan your temperature. That's about it. So it's easier for them to go into the premise instead of just queuing the long queue. And I think this is a good habit, and to make it easier, for example, the apps, using the application of apps, using everything, it will make us to end up with all kinds of policy. Thank you.
Yes. So a lot of countries are using BI. As you can see here, there are so many countries, especially in Europe, in US, Australia, but not really in this region. China, Southeast Asia is still lacking in terms of using BI. So there's big opportunities here. And this is what we do, because what we really do as a company, we have our behavioral science plus our machine learning, and we do this people analytics. This is I've talked quite a lot about this in our last talk, so I'm not going to go through this that much. But how we collect our data as a company, we have our own psychometric tests. We have our survey. Are you guys familiar with psychometric? Mr. Zaidi, do you know psychometric?
I heard of it. I'm not sure what psychometric. I heard of it.
Yeah, this is what we do. Actually, our main product is a psychometric test, where we check students' personality, their skill set, their interest, motivation. From a few questionnaires, we have the algorithm. We have our own test that we created to understand students better, to understand our users better. And in our system, we also have survey. We can add on surveys depending on situation, depending on what they need. It's very simple. When it comes to survey, it's just we provide online surveys. We also do web scraping, where you can extract data based on what people write, certain words. Let's say we want to know whether how many of us hate the current government, for example. We can have certain words that we can just extract from the web. We also have our IAT, implicit association test, where we try to do comparison, and people will answer it based on the algorithm, based on time and how accurate it is. And we also have there's many more methods for us to collect behavioral data, and we also have where we want people to put in their goals, where we will monitor who has the best goals, who has the best personality, who achieved their goals, who achieved their KPIs, and etc. This is what we currently do, and with all this data, we believe that by working with BI, there are so many areas that we can suggest things and how to do things, and how to improve things based on our finding, based on behavioral data that we have. This is an example of our system, where we'll see when in this case it's HR, where we assess, we recruit, develop, we manage talent. So as you can see, there will be the person's face, what kind of competencies, what kind of skill set that they have, the characteristic, motivation, what drives them, and then all this data will be used to identify the best person, to identify the right kind of person, and to improve your productivity. So now I'll be speaking about behavioral data and the usage that we've seen in most places. Like what Mr. Jim Barksdale said here, if you have data, let's look at data. If we all have opinion, let's go with mine. Because opinion, differs. Everyone has their own opinion. Everyone will have, their own point of view. But data will help in terms of making the right kind of decision. Just like BI, we have RCT, second random test, where it's based on data. We may have a lot of ways, we may have a lot of ideas to make things easy, but we will try and test it first. Because by testing, we'll get the data. By testing is how we will really quantify things. We can really quantify the right kind of methods. It's by having data. So it's not just gut feeling, although there are times for gut feelings, but by having data, our answers, our decision will be better.
Saidi, I think the data, opinion and data. You see, as you know that these past few months, a lot of cases on the drunken driver. I mean, there's what do you call it? Drink and drive cases.
Yeah.
Some of the cases are fatal cases. So these are actually data. But a lot of opinion have been gathered by the leaders, by the community leaders, by the business. So in terms, there's a question from Rizal regarding of the data and opinion. Data and opinion. All right. In view, the question from Rizal, you see, in view of growing cases of fatal, we know there's data. A lot of cases, a lot of statistics. There's statistics due to drunk driving. Do you see the potential? How a lot of some opinions say, "Oh, ban the alcohol." Some say, no, it's not. No, it's how you use the alcohol. These are opinions. So how do you see any potential? Do you see any potential in BI approach to mitigate this problem? Is BI still relevant with this comparison of data and opinion?
Of course, data will really help in this case, because we may know areas where it happens, what kind of time, what kind of areas. All this will go into data. How many cases are there in a month? What really transpire people to drink and drive? All this comes from data, and understanding all this will really help. Maybe how to limit people from driving when they are drunk. How can we stop them from drinking before driving? There must be ways that we can see there's habit that they'll have in a club, for example. When did they drink? Why do all 4 drinks, or let's say there's 4 drivers ke ada 4 orang dalam kereta kan? Kenapa 4 orang minum ke? There are so many ways that we can implement BI, and even to collect data, to understand why certain things happen. And to monitor macam mana nak gather data tu pelbagainya. We can really have CCTVs. We can see from how many. There are so many ways actually. Trends. Yeah.
In the of course in the advanced countries like in US or in Europe, they have data and they gather, or they do engagement with the people, the communities, and at the result, at the end of the day, the authorities make decision based on data. For example, in US, they know the data, the more drunks and drink and drive accidents in the city. So there is no shops selling alcohol in the region because of this data. They based on data, data. So in what way that because the government want to how to implement the policy based on data, and to get good engagement, or to get people to give good opinions on this implementation, so that they will support on the authorities decision. Do you have any idea on that, or do we need a lot of still, we are still new, Malaysia is still new on this compared
I
to
think
other
we are still new, but this is something that can be done in a very fast way because we have all the technology nowadays. And in terms of implementing, as we know just now, when we talk about information alone is not enough. If we tell people don't drink and drive, we have what iklan TV, don't drink and drive. But does it work? It doesn't, because people don't really listen. But like what you said just now about US, orang tak jual terus. By doing that, they're creating friction, so they can't really get the source anymore, kan? So tu cara dia. Or maybe just, you know, put, kalau macam I saw this one in New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken, where they put zebra line dekat setengah tempat, you know, to ensure that people will stop driving, to take care of, you know, daripada laju tiba-tiba slow sebab nampak ada zebra line kat depan. Or, you know, there are so many ways to implement things, and government, I think certain things they don't really need to advertise it to the rakyat sangat, kan. Certain decision kat dalam parlimen tu, they can be made as long as it's like what we said just now, paternal tu masih hormat orang punya rights, but it's just to nudge people to the right direction. There are so many areas when it comes to drunk driving tu pun, limitation dari kedai kepada orang, maybe by putting bouncer ke, there are so many ways. So to discuss it, we need to sit down and see, but there are so many ways for us to gather the data, you know, and it is a good question. Yeah.
BI can you know, can make it smooth.
Yes,
the limitation of this law or enforcement.
Yeah, when it comes to BI, it's going to be based on data. It's based by our testing. Maybe we can just, you know, question people around, people in the area. It's about creating environment. All these things will really help, I'm sure. And yeah, BI is something that we really need to start, you know, implementing in most ministries and even everywhere.
Yeah, Khairi, for those who, you know, please give your opinions on this matter. I think it's very interesting points, data and opinions, so that we can, you know, can see how we can adapt this BI based on this current scenario now. Current scenario, everybody talking about this drink and drive cases, accidents, how we can improve our lifestyle and our safety. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would like to go into this how Google, you know, because sometimes we blame people who are not smart, you know. We think that BI will only work towards, you know, people who are easily nudged, who don't think that much. But a very interesting finding is Google themselves help their employers and help their employees to eat healthy by, you know, using BI. They just put all the healthy food first, and then all the bit unhealthy ataupun benda-benda yang tak berapa baik, yang fatty, apa semua tu, they put bit behind. So in a buffet, people will take all the sayur first, all the healthy food first. They've improved a lot. I'm sharing the link to this finding juga nanti. And you can see how Google implement a very smart way in helping their workers to eat healthy. And there is also this case, Shapa is something sebab kita ni suka bila nak check berat tu, we always have issues because we are scared of the result, kan. Kita kadang-kadang tu bila we work out in the morning, we hope evening tu kita dah kurang berat. And so bila kita pijak, it's always, bila letak je, berdiri je atas berat tu, pemberat tu, it's always disappointing. It always disappoints us. The result is always disappointing. And what Shepa did is they don't really put the result here. As you can see, tak nampak any result punya tempat pun, kan, tak ada display pun. But they are just asking you to take the test, and by doing this, they improve a lot. And they are just as written here. They managed to, by making people ignorant, they managed to make people thinner. Even Twitter sekarang pun, they have issues of people, you know, just sharing things without reading. Tak fikir, just share je, kan. Apa, kadang-kadang just baca highlight kat atas tu, tajuk atas je, will share. So Twitter aims to nudge people juga by making sure bagi susah sikit nak share tu, they need to read the process, and they're doing it on Android. Just by creating friction tadi tu, dah bagi susah sikit, people will start to think before they do stuff. COVID-19 ni pun, I think you guys can just have a look. There's few suggestion by few people about how to handle macam mana nak duduk rumah in terms of behavioral. And this is something that I touched last time, where we use data behavioral on creating a new team. Baseball ni dulu just pilih player based on siapa tinggi, siapa yang boleh pukul kuat. Now they know how to put the right people in the right position. Diorang dah mula pilih the right person to play the right position. And by having data, they improve the game. Sama juga dengan NBA. Dulu the way the game plays, ada center besar. Kalau yang main NBA ni, yang biasa dengan basketball, Shaq O'Neal, Karim Abdul-Jabbar, semua tinggi-tinggi, duduk depan jaring tu, just wait and shoot. But nowadays the game has evolved, where people are starting to use shooter, 3 points, kat mana bahagian duduk mana. This is something yang they are using data analytics to help to understand. Macam juga drunk driving tadi kan. By having data nanti diorang boleh buat kat mana masalah dia, kat mana yang banyak cases, kat mana yang jangan bagi jual. It's all based on data. Macam main basketball ni lah, kat mana nak shoot, kat mana nak duduk, semuanya dah dirancang. Everything is based on data, and now the game has really changed. Long range attempt is the best way to win, and strategy and economics has been the main point when it comes to NBA. Company like Netflix pun dia banyak guna behavior data juga, what they call collaborative filtering ni kan. So they based on what watch history, program yang kita tengok, berapa lama kita tengok, how serious we are in watching, itu dia suggest apa yang betul. Amazon apa semua pun guna yang sama, Lazada. This is what we call collaborative filtering. And this is something that is so interesting. If you guys are familiar with marshmallow test. Marshmallow test ni dia buat by Stanford punya study, where diorang bagi diorang bagi marshmallow dekat budak-budak in the 60s tahun 60-an dulu, where they put marshmallow in front of them, and they'll say if you can stand just by looking at the marshmallow for 15 minutes ke 10 minutes, tak makan marshmallow tu, you'll get another one. So mostly kids will fail lah. Kalau orang dewasa mesti tak ada masalah tu kan. But kids, they are having problems where they orang tengok marshmallow tu kat depan, they willpower tu kena kuat kan. Nak tahan dengan bau, diorang dah nampak marshmallow tu. Kita tadi pun bila tertarik pun selalunya kita order juga kan, just bau telur. And budak-budak ni biasanya gagal lah, biasanya akan ambil, they'll eat the marshmallow and they will not get another one. But from this study, it's a study on instant gratification. Siapa yang boleh tahan lama akan dapat something. And from this study, the result is so interesting. The professor is Walter Mischel, psychologist. And the result is they found that sebab test ni tahun 60, so they want check balik siapa yang makan, siapa yang tak. From the result is orang yang berjaya tahan tu, yang boleh delay gratification tu, they have better life outcomes. SAT scores diorang tinggi lagi, education diorang bagus lagi, diorang lagi sihat, diorang lagi senang, lagi kaya. So just from this test, by delaying gratification of taking marshmallow, student tu nanti, budak tu nanti yang tak ambil tu akan lagi berjaya daripada budak yang tak sabar dan makan. So at this time, masa ni, semua ramai yang cakap it's because delaying gratification. Budak yang mampu tahan, yang ada willpower untuk tahan tu is the yang macam predictor untuk akan berjaya bila diorang dewasa nanti. But latest finding ni, when they go through the video, they look at it again, they'll see it's very interesting because kids who manage to, you know, delay the gratification tu, but budak yang berjaya tahan daripada ambil makan terus tu, it's actually what they did is they create distraction, macam nudging juga in a way, because apa yang diorang buat is diorang tak fokus dekat marshmallow tu. Budak-budak yang makan tu, diorang ambil marshmallow tu, diorang tengok je kan, so they can't really, you know, jaga tak boleh nak tahan diri daripada temptation tu kan. But kids who didn't eat, actually diorang create benda lain, diorang nyanyi, diorang tengok tempat lain, diorang main drum, diorang ubah, maksudnya diorang create friction tu. They don't just tengok. Sebenarnya apa yang diorang ada tu bukannya just willpower, but what they have is they know how to, you know, divert the attention, diorang nudge, diorang apa? Diorang boleh create something kan, maksudnya diorang create friction and not just bukannya willpower. Yeah.
Isn't it what you call diversion? What you say diversion?
Yeah, diversion. Yeah.
We don't really focus on that problem. We have another problem, maybe smaller than what the main problem. Well, the problem just for us to focus on the small problem. People, you know, because we need to face the real problem rather than we have some sideline.
In a way tu, sebab selama ni they believe that it's delaying gratification, willpower yang bagi budak-budak tu berjaya bila tua nanti kan. But actually it's how they diverge their punya attention juga. They know how to emphasize on better things ke apa ke kan, macam as you said now. They know how to divert their attention and they are able to be successful in the long run. Maksud dia by this test, kalau this one Professor Michio Kaku, dia kata this test should, Michio Kaku, Neil Tyson DeGrasse, dia cakap this test should be, you know, given to most kids kan, supaya kita boleh tahu, sebab this test has proven that delaying gratification, divert your problem tu is the best way, it's one of the best way untuk budak-budak tu berjaya bila dewasa nanti. Okay. I will be sharing about this is also something that is very interesting. Written there is kids with college saving account have higher cognitive and social skill. Ni finding daripada Dan Ariely juga, where you know they give college saving dekat setengah family, and after 4 years, masa baby baru lahir, family tu akan dapat college saving. And after 4 years, budak-budak yang ada college saving ni, diorang even have higher cognitive and social skill. Kenapa jadi macam tu? Why just by giving money, but budak-budak tu boleh berjaya kan? They don't even know, they don't even know that they are getting this money. Tapi rupanya dengan bagi duit ni dekat family, bagi duit college saving ni, they are giving like 500 a year macam tu je. But by giving that, parents tu mula bagi perhatian because they know that the kids are going to college, parents dah mula beli buku, parents dah jaga, baru lahir, terus dah ada untuk college. So parents lebih berhati-hati. So from this finding, kerajaan Israel, so semua baby baru diorang akan dapat college saving, starting last year rasanya. So college saving account ni akan diberi kepada semua baby yang baru lahir, because this will surely improve their own punya education just by giving college saving ni, sebab parents akan ada vision sikit, akan lebih bagi perhatian kepada pelajar tu. This is also something quite interesting when it comes to relationship, where kadang-kadang ni relationship orang yang, the point is kadang-kadang kita ni terlalu, kita tengok apa yang ada depan kita, kita nampak lah macam husband kita ke, our wife or husband, they will have their flaws. Kita nampak ni tak kena, tu tak kena, and we think that other people are living a better life. When in reality, semua orang pun macam tu. Everyone has their own problem. The problem ni sampai macam CEO pun kita pilih based on that. We like to see other CEO of other company when we can actually pick our own leaders in our own team. But because of our kind of thinking, our mentality, we like to compare. Macam kalau grass is always greener on the other side. Punya mentality ni kan, tengok apa yang kita nampak tu is orang lain tu lagi bagus, when the reality is setiap orang tu ada tak kena. By changing CEO ni, bila CEO datang tempat baru, from the research dia dapati tak ada improvement sangat pun. It's just that because our perception, kita jangka orang tu akan jadi lagi hebat. When the reality is setiap orang ada kelemahan and it's about understanding it.
Is it because of dengki? Because
Yeah.
when sometimes they say, oh, rather than our friends, my friends pointed at CEO, might as well
Yeah.
there's
Itulah, kalau kita kadang-kadang bila decision is based on guts, not based on data apa semua, that is what happen lah kan. Because we emotionally kadang-kadang decision kita ni kan, it's driven by emotion and it shouldn't. Macam ni dia banyak fokuskan dekat relationship. Bila kita tengok dalam Facebook, orang dalam Facebook memanglah nampak perfect. We saw them how wonderful their life is and everything. If we have this kind of mentality when we enter a relationship, how can we maintain the relationship? We are always thinking of other people. Kita tak rasa pun, kita tak appreciate pun what we have. Apa yang kita ada tu kita rasa ada kurang je kan. Yang kita nampak perfect, how perfect other people's are. When in reality everyone has their problem. It's just that we don't see it. What we see on Facebook apa semua ni is not really the truth. It's not the true representation. And it not just happen to a relationship, it also happens to a company. We tend to look and hire people outside, not the team that we have. And macam tu juga relationship, and that is scary, and that may be one of the reason why sentiasa ada masalah hubungan ni, why divorce rate like it's crazy right now kan. Kalau dekat US tu 50% of marriage bercerai. Even here in Malaysia, the figure, especially in Selangor, KL, is quite crazy. And I guess it's because of this kind of thing, especially nowadays, because of all this availability of Tinder, Facebook, social media, dating.com. Dari segi friction tu, macam kita bincang daripada awal tadi kan, apa friction, dia dah jadi senang, benda ni dah available. So dari segi automatic cognitive system kita ada possibility of doing this because it's easy. It's easy to log in Facebook. It's easy to look at other people's. It's easy to chat with dengan orang lain yang tak sepatutnya apa semua. So it requires understanding of BI, understanding of maybe nudging things, making certain things a bit hard, like what Twitter did baru-baru ni kan. It's to help this kind of thing. Yes. Nowadays we live in a very easy kind of world. Everything is available kat hujung jari. And again, I want to go in terms of trust tadi kan. Tadi pun kita kebetulan memang ada bincang pasal trust. And macam mana Donald Trump menang dulu. This is Cambridge Analytica lah. And they are using personality type juga punya test. They ask people online dekat Facebook. They have data from Facebook, so they know how to influence people's punya reaction. They know how to create hate speech. Diorang hantar the right kan. They can pinpoint issues tu ke arah orang yang betul. Macam let's say personality type ni kan, ada setengah ni jenis yang marah, jenis yang senang trigger. So if you know how to trigger them, it's going to be very easy for you to utilize kan. You know their anxiety level, you know what kind introvert ke extrovert. You can really pinpoint issues, you can really pinpoint whatever that you want to pinpoint lah kan, towards the right kind of people. So when it comes to trust ni, Facebook apa semua ni, we need to be very careful in terms of our behavioral, in terms of everything. So this is our goal, to have behavioral insight plus what we do, people analytics, and AI to help. Macam AI ni nanti kita boleh decision tu boleh terus daripada system itself. Kalau macam masalah drunk driving ke apa ke, it can come from the system itself. Kita terus boleh bagi suggestion, kita terus boleh bagi penyelesaian kepada masalah tu without going through discussion among us apa semua kan, because of predictive analytics, because of data that we have, insyaAllah. That is the future that I think may happen, and AI is not something that we can dismiss anymore. And to conclude, because I realize we are a bit late lah kan.
Yeah.
So to conclude, I would like, yeah.
AI adaptation and AI, because then comes the security matters, where are we allowed to gather this database, with this all this the personal database, and use this personal database through AI. AI collect mine all this database and give it to the respective companies. This is what happened. There's an issue in US election. There's an issue in this election. They will come to us whether it's ethical or not on using this AI for us to implement the policies.
I like to bring back to what Einstein said here. If I'm not mistaken, there's a quote by Einstein, but I need to check the validity lah. But they talk about how kalau teknologi masa tu they're talking about nuclear. If we misuse nuclear boleh jadi teruk kan. If they use it wisely, it can be done properly. I think the same can be said in terms of AI and everything lah, when it comes to technology, because at the end of the day, we need technology happens. We like it or not. We've questioned this since dari dulu lagi kita question, daripada kuda ke kereta, daripada TV. Sentiasa kita cakap tentang dia punya negativity of it. Smartphone ni macam-macam lah negatif dia kan, smartphone. But technology happens. So understanding, implementing kind of like this behavioral analysis, being careful, creating a new generation that is a bit smarter, who knows, who reads. Education reform ni pun kadang-kadang rasanya kita kena mula introduce to students about all this, about technology. Because technology will happen. We can say we like or we don't like. It will happen. So it's better for us to use it wisely. It's better for us to understand the constraint, the areas that we can improve on, so that at least the technology can be used for the good of our society, for the good of our people, inshallah. And to conclude, because I realize we've gone a bit far in terms of time.
The AI is the current thing. The BI is there, but to adapt AI, to use AI for adapting this BI, this new for us. As you know that Netflix is doing it. Yes, you know that even Spotify is doing it. I think the authorities, government should use AI to make sure that the AI is being implemented for the effectiveness of policy.
And for AI to happen, we need to have enough data so that the mission itself can, create the answers. AI is basically a combination of a lot of data, and then the machine can do the thinking on itself. So what we do right now is we are collecting. We as a company, we are collecting data. So we are trying to do machine learning and hopefully, have AI. And of course, it can help the government. Of course, it can help. If it used properly, used in the right way, it can help and bring goodness to the country and to the society, inshallah. And to conclude, I just want to share, because I think everyone will be getting this slides. And success is something that I always find to be very interesting. It's different for almost everyone. And for me, success is about contributing. Whatever we have, we contribute them. People who contribute the most is the most successful. And to be successful, I found these three things very important. I'll read a talk by Angela Duckworth in TED Talk. She talks a lot about grit. Because success doesn't matter whatever your idea of success is, but to be successful, the one thing that almost everyone shares is grit. They don't give up. They persistence. They do it. They try to improve, and they do something. Mistake. They improve, but they still, they don't give up. They fight for it. Consistency is something that is very important. Do bit by bit. If you work out, do it slowly. You don't really need to push, like crazy. Work out bila lari full marathon, esok half marathon. That will not really work because you can't be consistent when if you can do small steps at a time, be consistent, create habit, eliminate friction, you'll get there. And a study on happiness by Robert Waldinger and the Harvard team, it's very interesting because what they found when it comes to happiness, it's not how much you earn, it's not how big, how powerful you are. That doesn't determine how happy you are, because from their finding of 40 years, if I'm not mistaken, 4 generation of academician, from their finding, happiness comes from relationship, to have happy relationship, to appreciate and to be grateful. So I hope that from today's webinar, we'll know that behavioral is very important in almost everything, and the data has been used and will be used in the future, and hopefully the data will help us in terms of creating a better system and better technology in the future, inshallah. So that's it from me. If there's question, I'm so sorry about today. There's some technical issues, and it's a bit awkward just now, and I lost my composure a bit. So, but if there's still question, you can always call me. I'll be gladly, to meet, to talk and to discuss, because what we are in right now, I believe, is something wonderful. Behavioral technology, behavioral data is something that started to bloom. All this behavioral economic, like Mr. Teller just now just won a Nobel Prize. So this is something that people are starting to emphasize on, and everyone here who listens is in the right kind of field, and hopefully we can work together and try to improve things for it to be a bit better. Okay, Mr. Zaidi.
Thank you very much, Shahidi. I think it's very interesting presentations. I also like to apologize for all there's a technical problems in between just now, but I think the presentation is very interesting and is very relevant, and I hope there are more discussions on using using BI through AI, using BI through AI, so the AI empower BI, so from all this technology, all this platform, for the benefit of these authorities or stakeholders to implement individual or policy or law, enforcement on law. So this is good. I hope more and more discussion on this. And as you know, MPC is actually championing on this BI, and this webinar seasons sessions is aimed to promote awareness on BI initiatives and to create a strategic network alliance and potential collaborations among BI communities. It doesn't matter whether it's private sectors or the public sectors, and to develop a better understanding and to implement BI to the nations. As you know that we are now in the PKPP or RMCO, we need to recover our economy. So I think BI will help to collect the taxes, to implement, to minimize the cost of the PBT or to the government sectors. I think BI can play a major part, a major role for us to, empower the communities, to empower these nations with the better economy in the B shape. So I think thank you very much on behalf of MPC. What I'm going to do is all the questions I'm going to forward it to you. Maybe you can email back to MPC.
Okay, sure.
There are a few questions here, and also I'd like to thanks to all the attendees, to Cik Muhammad Amit, who is saying that delaying gratification, Cik Rizal, Cik Nolaila Sari, Cik Kinlo, Nurul Farin, Mat Syam, Cik Shantini, and Ida Yasin, Cik Muhammad Isham, and also Cik Norwan, who has participated in this chat and questions. I would like to say thanks to them, and also to those who are attending this webinar. And we would like to hopefully that we can be together and to communicate and to engage through this BI's awareness and BI's to move forward. With that, thank you very much on behalf of MPC, and thanks to MPC who are championing on this BI for the benefit of the nation. With that, I would like to end these sessions, and again, don't stop here. Let's keep on engaging and how to empower BI. Thank you very much, Shahidi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you. Waalaikumsalam.
Fantastic presentation. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you. Waalaikumsalam.